This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code DETROIT to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 109, and it is jam-packed. It is probably going to be an hour long. John wants to go for 30 minutes, but I've got so much stuff to talk about, and I'm rolling off an hour and a half of sleep. So let's preview what we'll be discussing today. Jim Cornette, he's out of NWA. There is some dissension, possibly, amongst being the Elite with the Elite crew, as well as some congratulations are in order for some Impact Wrestling superstars, and Nikki Cross signed an extension. On top of all that, we're going to review AEW. We're going to preview and give our predictions for Survivor Series. We're going to take a quick look at NXT. We're also going to review Raw, and we're going to take a look at Smackdown with a bit of a review and kind of set up what's going to take place later on tonight. Doing it with me as always, he is the one, he is the only, he is my cousin. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz? I know you want to get out of here in like 35 minutes, but I don't think it's going to happen, baby.
Well, look, I'm excited. Everybody that tuned in to WWE Backstage definitely got, they marked out. I did. It was awesome. If you're not watching Backstage, Tuesday, 11 p.m. on FS1, you missed out, man. I marked out hard. Seeing CM Punk, watching him dissect WWE, and he said it. Look, I can say whatever I want, and he went in hard. He talked about stuff that he wasn't supposed to, and he cut a promo that probably, even though he's been away, was better than any promo I've seen in WWE in months. And it was great, and it was directed toward Tom Arnold. It was exciting. It was great. I know it's coming. It's coming, bro. In 2020, CM
He's coming back?
I think he's coming back. I mean, he's so good at it.
The return, baby.
It's coming. It's coming. Look, I'm excited for a television hosting job. He's got to be showing some money. They have to do it. I mean, if Paul Heyman is worth a damn, he should be fired alone if in 2020 CM Punk doesn't make an appearance, man. It was great. Definitely worth it. He's a natural, and it was awesome to see. I'm excited. It got me reinvigorated, to watch WWE and even to look at SmackDown and NXT and Raw. And so it was awesome,
you know
baby.
What's fantastic? You know what's fantastic about CM Punk? CM Punk has one of those personalities where he's such a leader that he gets people who just signed exclusive extensions with WWE Page to go against the product, which is a no-no for WWE. You got Paige saying, yeah, it's bad. This product is horrible. It's not a good look. It's I think she went with the thumbs down and she made the noise. So It is pretty fantastic watching CM Punk do CM Punk things. But let's talk about SmackDown. Let's get into this review real quick. If you ask me, it was a less than thrilling SmackDown. It was highlighted by SmackDown versus NXT ladies match that ended with Nikki Cross dropping Dakota Kai with a twisting neckbreaker for a pinfall victory. Now, after the match is when things kind of got spiced up a little bit. Action really heated up between the competitors, and it continued and spilled over until Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose hit the ring to help turn things in SmackDown's favor. I thought this was a good match. It kind of pushes the storyline along for Survivor Series. I think the one thing that we all kind of were buying in for was the Fiend and Daniel Bryan. So we had this set up for the Fiend and Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series, as well as the unveiling of the new WWE Universal Championship. Just a heads up, guys, it's blue. It is blue. That is what the deal is. Instead of red, it is now blue. So we have our Miz TV segment where Bryan and the Miz are going back and forth with each other. It starts to get a little bit heated. Bryan says he's not the same Daniel Bryan he was 10 years ago. He said one thing is similar, that's the passion. He said that Miz does not understand the mental instability combined with his passion, but Wyatt does, because Wyatt is unstable too. And before he could go on, Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse interrupted. Wyatt said talking about someone else isn't nice, and that suggests that Bryan knows why the Fiend attacked. And if he doesn't remember, Wyatt does. Wyatt said if Bryan wants a shot at his new favorite toy, all he has to do is say one magic word. Bryan refused and said if Wyatt wants to fight, they should fight. But they should do it for a title. Wyatt enthusiastically led the crowd in the yes chant before the show ended kind of awkwardly. It seemed like somebody missed some timing here. The thing that I got out of this is we are going to get our Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt at Survivor Series match. Looks like it could be a really good one. But this segment was just kind of weird. Like it was good because Wyatt's good and Bryan's good and Miz is good, but it ended so awkwardly and it just seemed like somebody missed a cue. I don't know. Did you pick up on that or no?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought it wasn't as crisp as what I thought would be from those two guys. And, for me, it didn't really hit the mark. Exactly. I just think that, I don't know for what it was, maybe because of the way the setup went or the way in which it was delivered, it just seemed off a little bit.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit strange. I'm not sure what exactly happened. This week for SmackDown, we're going to continue our build to Survivor Series. I'm expecting the NXT crew as well as the Raw crew to come and invade SmackDown. We're going to have our crossovers. It should be a fun build to what looks like it's going to be a very fun pay-per-view this weekend. Let's get into Raw. So Raw picked up with a great segment or a great match between Rollins and Andrade. This match was broke up by Lucha House Party, helping set the stage for Survivor Series again. What did you think of this storytelling? I thought this was a great match because both these guys are fantastic in the ring. I like where we're headed with them too. But Lucha House Party, I thought was kind of a weird team to throw in the mix to kind of break this up. I felt like they had a bunch of names in a hat and they drew a name and it happened to be Lucha House Party, and that's who got to go do the damn thing.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of the use of Lucha House Party, do you think that maybe they could get a push, or maybe that, with the manner in which they're utilized, they're always just going to be mid-card guys? Should they get a push?
I think they have the ability because they're so high-flying, as Jim Cornette says, and we'll talk about him later. They do the flippy shit, and they do a lot of the flippy shit. I think they're really good in the ring. The problem is I don't know if they connect with the fan base. So they're not really over. And you've seen this with WWE. WWE likes to push certain guys. Doesn't matter if they're over, doesn't matter if they connect with the fan base. Vince wants to push who he wants to push. And generally those guys are 6'3" to 7'2", and they're built like brick shit houses. Lucha House Party kind of looks like average, really athletic guys who are roughly mine and your height. And we're not the tallest dudes out there. So I don't know if they'll ever get a push. Are they deserving? I think they do a good job in the ring. I think they tell a really good story. I just don't know if we'll get it. We then had a pretty solid match where Buddy Murphy pinned Akira Tozawa. Later in the program, we had a fantastic pay-per-view quality match between Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. And this had a little bit of a mix with an intense and emotional promo from Triple H that could possibly set up a betrayal during Sunday's battle for the brand supremacy, which leads to a fantastic segment and leads to the question, does KO turn on Raw and go back to NXT? What are your thoughts on that? Where do you sit with this?
Yes, what a great question, because of the fact that Kevin Owens came from NXT and, the way in which Triple H delivered that message. But look, cuz I know that NXT is reeling. That's why they're bringing over the likes of Becky Lynch, and we'll talk about that briefly here in just a few moments. But Kevin Owens is bigger than that. No, hell no. I think this is how you get him over, by denying Triple H and by leading and staying on the main roster. Kevin Owens is main event. Look, there are some guys you just don't put on NXT. Finn Balor kind of right there was slipping, because of his size. Kevin Owens dots the I's, crosses the T's of everything you need in a superstar. Great poise, great wrestler, great on the mic, can get over as a face or a heel. If he's on NXT, it's a waste.
So I think he goes back to NXT because if you go back, I think 3 months ago, we were talking about Kevin Owens going back to NXT and being a guy that they're looking to kind of build this new brand around. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least that he does. All that being said, I would prefer him stay on Raw. I would prefer him stay in that good guy role. I think there's so much there, and there's so much you can do with Kevin Owens. If you just push him right, you just give him the opportunity, I think he'd run with it. I think he'd be fantastic. Overall, what did you think about Raw?
Overall, I enjoyed Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a show that, at least for what it was trying to do in terms of the Survivor Series, was okay. Was it something that's stellar? No, it still hasn't really reached its mark yet where you can say, okay, it's must-see. But all in all, compared to other weeks, it's been better. And I like to see now the push of Drew McIntyre. I like to see others getting in the mix there. And so I think you're starting to see the next wave with the Buddy Murphys, with the others that are getting their pushes. I like it. And look, at the end of the day, I know that Seth Rollins is a guy that's controversial, but if he's packaged correctly, if he can continue to kind of evolve that character, get better on the mic. Paul Heyman's doing a good job of drawing interest in terms of the storylines, but it's just one of those things where you're missing that, great moment. It seems very professional, very robotic and things like that, but it's entertaining. And that's why if you invest in the superstars and you find a couple that you want to invest in, it's okay. But overall, in terms of in totality, could it be much better? Yes. Everyone talks about it and notices that, okay, some of the angles are weak and things like that. And look, at the end of the day, because if they're not going to cut off the Lana angle, she kind of flubbed. You noticed that, where the crowd kind of affected her a little bit in the manner in which she delivered that promo. It's good. I mean, she tried to fight through it, but at the end of the day, they are powering through one of the worst angles probably in the last 4 years. And eventually speaking, you might, in one of these situations where you have an angle people don't like, the net gain is bad. And so, yeah, there's some positivity. People, some may like it, some may be interested and are clicking for maybe the whole freak show angle of it. But at the end of the day, Bobby Lashley and Rusev are much better than how they're being utilized. So every time you see it on the TV, don't you just want to click it off and just go, all right, I'm going to take a break? And you can't have that in any segment of a show ever. You can't.
It is a hard watch. It definitely, that segment alone is not fun. That's why I didn't really want to include it, just because it bores me, man. It's not good. I do think Raw was a little bit better this week. That being said, it still has work to do. I feel like you're still missing a bunch. I feel like the storylines can be improved. I feel like some of the guys need a bigger spotlight and need to be shine more. It's sometimes it's a frustrating watch, especially when you get into programs like NXT, which are fantastic. And again, NXT had another very solid show. It helped continue the storylines for this upcoming weekend with War Games, which is going to take place on Saturday, and Survivor Series, which is going to take place on Sunday. I thought we opened with an extremely hot angle between my girlfriend, Becky Lynch, and Rhea Ripley, who I think's kind of sexy. She looks like a little bit of a punk rocker, and she might rip your dick off. It just kind of works for me. I don't know why. I like to live dangerously, I guess. Match ended in a double DQ where Shayna Baszler, along with Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir hit the ring and caused this double DQ. Lynch and Ripley fought them off. In the end, they stand tall. I thought this was good storytelling. This is building to what's going to take place at Survivor Series, as well as what's going to take place on Saturday at War Games. So you've got dual stories being told and dual stories being worked upon, and I think this is fantastic. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly ended up beating the Revival by a pinfall. O'Reilly barely survived when saved Fish from a shatter machine. Undisputed Era then took over, and they hit a high-low on Dawson for the win. And look, this was one of the better tag team matches we've had all year long. So already, NXT is starting off incredibly hot, and they're doing a great job telling stories and connecting things to what's going to take place this weekend and putting on fantastic matches. In the end, we had Adam Cole and Dominic Dijak, and they had a ladder match for an advantage on Saturday during War Games. So inside this briefcase was whatever this stipulation was, whatever this advantage was for the match that's going to take place at War Games. Cole would eventually capture the briefcase for the win and advantage on Saturday when Dijak limped to the top of the ladder, but the NXT champion recovered. He launched the briefcase into his opponent's head, which sent the big man off the ladder. He crashed through another one. Cole then unhooked the briefcase for the win. Now, what takes place afterwards is really what I want to kind of focus in on here. Because, again, we're telling storylines for two pay-per-views that are going to take place, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. So afterwards, chaos ensues. Keith Lee and Ivar hit side-by-side suicide dives onto a crowd of superstars that were lined up outside the ring. That was fantastic. You had these two gargantuan-ass men doing things that only littler dudes do, and it was fantastic. Cole thought he escaped all of this, but Seth Rollins then hits the ring, super kicks him, and hits him with a curb stomp. Then Tommaso Ciampa arrives, and then he ends up brawling with Seth Rollins. This was fantastic. You had things working here that helped set up Saturday night as well as Sunday night, and it told cohesive stories. I thought NXT was fantastic, and I think both of us, you and I, are looking for things like this to take place on Raw. I feel like on Raw and on SmackDown, the show is lacking. You don't get that consistency, that conciseness, where you're like, cool, I know what I just watched. I know how this is going to play into what's being set up. You don't really get that. You just sometimes get a hodgepodge of matches, and you're just like, all right, cool, this sucks. You know? You wanna preview Survivor Series real quick?
I do, man. Are you excited for it?
A little bit. I think there's some good matches that are going to play out here. I'm definitely going to be taking it in. I'm going to definitely be watching it to kind of start this preview off. And this is what I think we need to do as well. Because it is a brand new era of wrestling. We do have NXT. We do have AEW in the fold. And we are considering both of them for our verdict. I think we need to start with a fresh start for calling the card. The last calling the card, I ended up winning, I believe, by a half a point or a point and a half. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and do some research. I kind of dropped the ball on that one. But I think we start over. I think we start 0-0 and we move forward and we start to work in the AEW pay-per-views in the calling the card. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no problem, because it's quarterly, so we can do that as well. Definitely a reset is always good, and I always look forward to competition and having some fun and things like that. So definitely competitions. We can even do some takeovers too as well. We can mix in as many as we want, or as least as we can mix in as many as we want, or as little as we want, but any competition is always fun, man.
Awesome, cool. So the WWE Championship, it's a no-holds-barred match, no disqualification. Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio. Who do you think wins this?
Can you imagine Rey Mysterio shocking the world? It would send, some reverberations throughout the wrestling world, but I don't see it. Brock is money, and so I think that, if there's going to be a swerve, this one could be it, where there's a non-finish to keep it going, but give me Brock Lesnar. It's probably, 95% Brock.
So it's a no DQ, no holds barred, no disqualification match. Dominic's been wanting to get in the wrestling ring. I think this is a part where you kind of let Dominic shine just a little bit. Maybe Cain Velasquez shows up, interferes just a little bit. I'm going to take Rey Mysterio for the W. Don't be surprised if on Monday Night Raw, Rey Mysterio drops that belt back to Brock Lesnar. But I think for at least one night, Rey Mysterio holds that championship. We've got the Universal Championship match where the Fiend Bray Wyatt will take on Daniel Bryan. Who wins this one? This is an interesting one. This has been a relatively short build, but I think it's been an effective build.
Look, there's a chance this one could disappoint. I mean, it started off a little bit, the premise of this matchup looks good, but it feels a little bit rushed. It felt like it needed more of an AEW style build-up, maybe a couple more interactions, some more storytelling. It just seems like, okay, The Fiend's going to fight Daniel Bryan, and here we go. Now, in terms of the two superstars, they definitely have a chance to steal the show in terms of the storytelling, the emotions that they can draw. But you don't put the belt on The Fiend and then take it off of him. So it's going to be The Fiend winning. I'm just trying to think about, is this going to be a good wrestling match? And these two should have some chemistry, and I think they probably will outdo what Seth Rollins and The Fiend did. So I'm excited for it, but there's also a chance it could be a dud too. So it's going to be a fascinating match, but give me The Fiend.
Yeah, I'm going to go with The Fiend as well, and I think you're right. This is a match that probably could have used another 2, maybe another 3 weeks of building before we actually got to this point. And it does feel rushed. It feels very hurried. And that's kind of a letdown here, especially for guys like us who love a good story to be told. I feel like we're kind of missing that here. But I'm going to go with Bray Wyatt as well. I had him down. You don't put the belt on this guy, and you don't let him do what he's done just to take it off of him. We have a triple threat match with the Raw Women's Champion, Becky Lynch. We have the SmackDown Women's Champion, Bayley. And we have the NXT Women's Champion, Shayna Baszler. Who do you think is going to come out of this one the victor? This is hard, man. This is hard. I think there's a swerve in here, and I'm wondering if you see the swerve.
No, I'm not seeing the swerve. Tell me, fill me in. I'm not seeing it yet.
So Shayna Baszler has basically crippled everybody she's come across.
Okay.
Becky Lynch is one of the hottest things going in wrestling, and she looks outstanding when she's in the ring. Her last couple of matches, she's been fantastic. I think the swerve comes if somebody like Bayley is able to undo Shayna Baszler's hot streak and put Becky Lynch down.
Oh, okay. I understand. This matchup, kind of interesting. In my mind, I'm kind of over Becky and her push. I would love it if Shayna Baszler kind of became that new it woman. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Maybe one of those things, maybe WWE dropped the ball, but, early on, picturing Becky Lynch as a badass was believable. But as the storyline progressed, it feels more like an act. She doesn't feel like a badass to me naturally. Shayna Baszler feels like
Shayna Baszler
is a badass. And so in comparison, the dynamic is interesting because now I tell myself, man, what's next for Becky Lynch? Because, maybe because of her accent, maybe because I see now maybe what WWE was looking at, she's not believable as a badass. So maybe she's got to transition into being less of a talker and more of someone that kicks your ass in the ring. I think that's maybe what you can do there. I think Becky Lynch wins this one, but I think Becky Lynch takes it down. And, because she's over, she's the one that's going to reign supreme. And I don't think you want to hurt her. Shayna probably can afford to lose. If it's not one of them, if it's not Baszler or Becky Lynch, then it'll be Bayley. So then you don't lose any heat. But for me, give me Becky Lynch.
Who takes the pin then? Because I'm going to go Shayna Baszler in this one. And I think Shayna Baszler is going to win it, and she's going to put Bayley down. Who do you think takes the pin? Yeah,
I think Bayley takes the pin from Becky Lynch.
I like where your head's at. My girlfriend needs all the love she can get. So I'm on the Becky Lynch train. I just think Shayna Baszler probably gets the nod here. We do have a women's Survivor Series elimination triple threat match. If that's not a mouthful, I don't know what is. So Raw's team will feature Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Sarah Logan versus SmackDown's Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Carmella, Dana Brooke, and Nikki Cross versus NXT, which I'm assuming I don't have the roster for the NXT side yet. I'm going to guess Rhea Ripley's going to be in there. Jessamine Duke, Mina Shafir. I'm assuming Dakota Kai will probably be in there as well. Now this is all speculation by me. I don't know for 100% who will be in this match, but that's what I'm guessing. I think also it's going to depend on who comes out unscathed from War Games. So this to be determined is going to probably carry over until early Sunday morning when we kind of nail down permanently who's going to be in this match. So who are you going to give the nod to here?
Man, just looking at the match, it seems like Team SmackDown has the better wrestlers in this one. But I could also see NXT, the to-be-determined team, kind of taking one because NXT can't just be rolled over here. So it's going to be tough, but you can't pick it now without knowing who it's going to be. So knowing what I know now, I think Team SmackDown has the much better female roster on this one.
Okay, I'm going to go with Team Raw. You got Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. I think those four names right there are main event headliners, and I think they can overshadow just about anybody else. So I'm going to go Raw in this one. We do have a men's Survivor Series elimination triple threat match. Raw's team will consist of Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Ricochet, and Drew McIntyre versus SmackDown's King Corbin, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Mustafa Ali, and Shorty G versus NXT. This is going to be an interesting one because Undisputed Era has a triple threat tag match, as well as I believe it's Roderick Strong is going to be in a triple threat match against AJ Styles and Nakamura. So this is going to be interesting who NXT puts in this match because I don't know. I have no idea who they could possibly put in there. Maybe you got Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, possibly. This is going to be an interesting match for sure, just because we're not 100% sure who's going to be representing NXT and who's going to be healthy enough to represent NXT.
So how I see this is it was fascinating, the dynamic, because on last week's SmackDown, you saw a little bit of dissension among Team SmackDown in terms of the guys fighting each other. I think that going forward, it may set up future feuds if SmackDown loses, but the way in which I see it, I think that any team with Braun Strowman, if you want to elevate him, maybe he's the last guy. A bunch of guys get eliminated, and he takes the win if he's down a couple. So for me, it's hard to pick against Braun Strowman. If you want to kind of elevate him going into the Royal Rumble, now's the time to do it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they jack it up and give it to NXT or Raw. But for me, give me Team SmackDown.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Team SmackDown as well. I like Braun Strowman. I like Roman Reigns. I think there's a lot you can do there. And plus, not knowing 100% who's going to be on Team NXT makes me a little bit nervous. So I'm going to go Team SmackDown as well. Triple threat tag match. So the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Viking Raiders, versus the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the New Day, versus the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Undisputed Era. Who wins this?
Ooh, the team that you probably think that's been pushed the most is the Viking Raiders, right? They've been destroying people. They've been winning. I think they're the best tag team. So for me, give me the Viking Raiders.
I'm going to go Undisputed Era in this one. Look, they're a fantastic tag team. I think this is a great way to help shine them up a little bit, get them over. Look, you don't have to build the New Day anymore. Viking Raiders are a good team. Don't be surprised if the New Day take the loss here to the Undisputed Era. Next, we have a triple threat match. The United States champion AJ Styles versus the Intercontinental champion Shinsuke Nakamura versus the NXT North American champion Roderick Strong. Who wins this?
Ooh, I'm always a fan of AJ Styles. It's a big match feel, but at the same time, could you potentially have Shinsuke win this and get him over? Look, I think the Intercontinental Champion probably is viewed better, so here's how it works out. Give me Shinsuke Nakamura, but he doesn't pin AJ Styles. Shinsuke pins Roderick Strong.
All right. So back in the day, by back in the day, I mean a few months ago, a very wise man told me when AJ Styles holds a belt, you don't ever pick against AJ Styles. The moment AJ Styles drops a belt or the moment AJ Styles loses is when AJ Styles decides he's going to lose. I'm going to take AJ Styles in this match. I could see him pinning both Nakamura or Roderick Strong. I think AJ Styles is heads and tails the better wrestler in this match. So there's our picks for the Survivor Series, which will take place on Sunday. Just to recap, Doc's got Brock Lesnar. This is one of the first cards that we picked where we have been almost opposite on everything. You got Brock Lesnar. I've got Rey Mysterio. We both agreed Bray Wyatt's going to beat Daniel Bryan. You've got Becky Lynch winning the women's triple threat match. I've got Shayna Baszler winning it. The only thing we agree on is that Bayley is going to take the L. Watch her end up winning the whole damn thing. You've got SmackDown winning for the women's Survivor Series elimination triple threat match. I've got Raw winning it. In the men's Survivor Series elimination triple threat match, you've got SmackDown. I've got SmackDown as well. You've got the Viking Raiders winning the triple threat tag team match. I've got Undisputed Era winning it. And you've got Nakamura winning the triple threat middle belt mid-card of Doom championship. And I've got AJ Styles winning it. So it looks to be a really good pay-per-view. We're both going to tune in. We will recap this next week, and we will see who wins the brand new edition of Calling the Card. Let's transition into AEW. AEW I thought was fantastic. We opened with a great match between Rey Fenix and Nick Jackson. Lots of high-flying moves, lots of near falls, lots of super kicks. In the end, Rey Fenix pins Jackson in a rare singles match. I really like this. I think it helps build on an underlying feud that is there. These guys have great matches together, and this one right here was fantastic.
I loved it, man. I was like, man, you start to wonder, could there be a singles run down the road in a year or two for one of the Young Bucks? But good match to start AEW. One thing that AEW has for it is the crowd is ape shit every single week, and I definitely love the suck it Vince sign that kept popping up periodically.
Oh, it was great.
It was great. So the crowd in Indy definitely enhanced and made themselves present in this one, and it was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was a really good match, and the crowd in Indy was fantastic. Sheeta ended up leaving Britt Baker bloody and possibly broken. This was a solid women's match, right? Sheeta hit a running knee, and she might have broke Baker's nose. Her nose was bloody. It looks like it's broken. In the end, Sheeta hit another running knee for the 1, 2, 3. This was a really good match. If you guys follow along in our Flick Chat app, you should have seen the guys talking about this. The guys were putting this match over like crazy. They thought it was fantastic. It's very rare that the guys in our group chat really get pumped up for a women's match. They were excited about this one. It was hard hitting. It was a very, very good match. MJF and Hangman Page, they won a very entertaining battle royal that will be slated to continue next week. This right here, this match was basically done to see who the final two combatants were, so they can continue this story next week on AEW Tuesday or Wednesday Night Dynamite in Chicago. So this should be a good one. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Hangman Page. I've got some interesting information on him coming up in the news and notes, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Chris Jericho came out to cut a fantastic promo where he has trouble saying the word sorry. SCU comes down to gloat about Scorpio Sky pinning Jericho last week and giving him his first loss. Now, you want to see two professionals doing what two professionals do when they have a microphone and everything is unscripted? This was the moment. It was absolutely fantastic. These two have an amazing banter back and forth, and essentially, the way it works out, Scorpio Sky goats Chris Jericho into giving him a title match set up for next week. Now, I thought this entire segment was absolutely amazing. These guys are on top of their game, and they cut a fantastic promo playing off of each other and building with each other. You could just see quick wit firing after quick wit, and these guys were just going nit for nat, nick for knack, nick for knack. It was great. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Jon Moxley and Darby Allin ended up duking it out in the main event. This was another fantastic back-and-forth match that seen Moxley score a win when Allin went up for the coffin drop, but Moxley caught him in a sleeper, which was countered into another near fall. Up top, Moxley bit the face of his opponent and then delivered an avalanche paradigm shift for the win. This was a really good match. Jon Moxley has been putting on some of his absolute best matches since he's come to AEW. All that being said, AEW has done a fantastic job of building Darby Allin. Darby Allin gets into these matches where you don't necessarily believe he has a shot to win, and he keeps the match so incredibly close, and he just loses. And this is building to one of those moments where he gets that big win, the entire crowd is going to erupt, and it's going to be fantastic. I thought AEW from start to finish was absolutely great. I think it was highlighted by Chris Jericho and Scorpio Sky in the middle, cutting fantastic promos on each other. I thought that was all bookended by great matches from start to finish. I thought AEW was fantastic this week.
I did as well, but for me, I'm just not interested in the next match for the title being Scorpio Sky. I would have liked maybe Christopher Daniels or Frankie Kazarian in terms of the next guy, but I thought that, Scorpio Sky is believable, especially the line where he said that, hey, I just may take down the title, but nobody believes it. So you could have a surprising title change, but not likely. So
let me ask you this. Looking at SCU, who do you think is the guy? If there was to be one guy who could go on to be a standout singles competitor, who the crowd could really get behind and could do some really special things, who do you think that is?
I think it's Frankie Kazarian. I think he's a badass. I think I think he's probably a guy that, if you market him correctly, has kind of a badass vibe that you can believe along the lines of a main event guy. I think that he's got that Batista light kind of look, but you can make him a destroyer with a power bomb, with the moves that he makes. Now, Scorpio Sky, definitely, I think he's believable, but not yet. I think that you need to feature him a little bit more. It's a little early because he's been featured as a tag team. So for him to have this feud, I think, and the strategy, what's being done is the main event guys are giving the younger guys opportunity. They're giving them opportunities, but at the same time, it makes it so it's not believable, right? Nobody believed that Darby Allin's going to defeat Jon Moxley, especially with how they looked. But it's good because you're establishing them with the. What's good is they're not making the same mistake as WCW. It's almost a concerted effort to say, hey, we're going to include the younger guys that we want to elevate in the mix with the main event guys. It's a concerted effort, and you can tell that the mistakes of the past of WCW are never going to be made by AEW. But for me, I just don't believe Scorpio Sky belongs in the ring with Chris Jericho. So I just think that, it's great in terms of what you can do. Definitely in that match, Scorpio Sky should be elevated, and being in the ring with Jericho will help. But for me, I just think that I would have liked to have seen somebody else with Chris Jericho.
I get it. I think Scorpio Sky is the guy who can be a breakout star from this group. Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian are a little bit older. I think their time, I don't want to say it's past, but I just think they're a little bit older. I think Scorpio Sky is the dude who could come out of here and be that guy who crosses over and the crowd can get behind. Who do you want to give the point to this week?
Ooh, tough. I felt like, in my opinion, I liked the shows. I liked AEW, but I really liked NXT a little bit more this week in terms of incorporating Becky Lynch, the storylines. I thought NXT top to bottom. See, the first hour of AEW was good, but for me, once Scorpio Sky kind of came in there, I thought that Chris Jericho, it was a good promo, but wasn't one of his best. I thought it was a little bit of a letdown. And then for me, my review of the Darby Allin match, I thought it was good, but at the same time, Darby Allin was missing something. I don't know what it was. It's just the believability because he's a smaller guy. You never really felt like, okay, Jon Moxley's going to lose this match. And so for me, I thought, okay, head-to-head, I thought this week NXT was better.
Would you be willing to go 50-50? We give a half point to NXT because I thought NXT was great. And I thought AEW was fantastic.
No doubt. I think both of them are worthy of half a point for the shows that they put on.
Awesome. So the way it sits right now, Raw, half a point, SmackDown, 0 points, NXT, half a point, AEW, 7 points.
Yes. Hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes. What you got for me this week, cuz?
Word is former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Nikki Cross has reportedly signed a contract extension to remain with WWE. I will assume it's between 3 to 5 years, as WWE wants to lock everyone up long-term. But don't quote me on it. I'm purely speculating here. But what is known is that she has signed an extension. One of WCW's classic pay-per-views is coming to AEW. AEW announced the revival of Bash at the Beach, which is set to take place January 15th in Miami. Now, you remember Bash at the Beach is the iconic pay-per-view where Hulk Hogan turned heel and joined the NWO. Now, this may have led to a court date as WWE owned the term, but it is believed that Cody filed a trademark to that name earlier this year. So some have speculated that this is leading to WWE suing AEW. So it's already getting nasty between the two brands. Congratulations are in order to Tessa Blanchard, who said yes to Impact and AAA star Daga, who popped the question. The two have been dating for a bit now and have competed together in AEW and in Impact. NWA has temporarily removed power from YouTube to edit the show and to address comments made by Jim Cornette, who was speaking about Trevor Murdoch when he said, "Now I'm gonna repeat what Jim Cornette said, and then I'm gonna fill you in with some other information as well." Now, this quote did get Jim Cornette removed from AEW. He is no longer with AEW. He's no longer doing commentary. This comment that Jim Cornette made was a comment that Jim Cornette has made in the past. But again, different era, different time. Jim Cornette is an old school guy, and I think he tries to get some of his old school antics over. Sometimes they fall flat and they just don't work. So Jim Cornette is quoted as saying in the commentary of the program, "He's the only man I've ever known who can strap a bucket of fried chicken on his back and ride a motor scooter across Ethiopia." Mind you, Trevor Murdoch is white. His character appears to be a redneck or someone from the Deep South, like the real Deep South. But because of this comment, Jim Cornette has been removed from NWA's commentary team. On the latest episode of Being the Elite, Hangman Page has left the group. He said, "I lost to Jericho. I lost to Pac. I've been the least successful guy in this group, and I can't do it anymore. I can't do this, guys. I'm sorry, guys. We're still cool, but I'm going to ride alone for a while. I'm sorry, guys." So Hangman Page is out of the Elite. And that's this week's Wrestling News and Notes.
See, we got it in under an hour, cuz. Perfect. We got in all the good stuff, and we got a chance even to talk about CM Punk. It was great, man. Like I said, the highlight of the week, I think the moment of the week for me was Backstage. It was great. But I'm okay with the promo class, but David Arquette dropped the ball. I mean, he sucked. I thought that he would do a better job. Booker T still's got it.
Yeah.
Booker T still got it. He definitely owned David Arquette in that moment, so I could do without that segment. I would do maybe a little bit more of a traditional kind of recap show where there's a desk and some monitors. Doing it in the ring is cool, and it's different, but it just doesn't have the professional vibe of what you're looking for. So for me, maybe they'll make some minor adjustments, but all you don't even need the other two. You don't need Ember Moon with her injury. You don't need anybody else. You just need Renee and CM Punk, and let them go for an hour. And I think you have ratings gold because they're friends. They can play off of each other, that the relationship dynamic is really cool. And I like the dynamic where CM Punk can say whatever he wants. And he was fair. I mean, obviously he trashed Baron Corbin, doesn't like some of the bad angles that are going on, but he also said that he thinks that Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar can tell a great story, and he talked about some things that he liked. So he's in tune. He knows what's going on. He did his prep work, and it's only going to get better. So this dynamic, if they really want to really hit the mark with this show, just make it about CM Punk and Renee Young, and maybe periodically a couple, wrestlers that want to advance an angle, maybe through CM Punk. But I like the fact that he trashed Seth Rollins. I think that was really great as well, and trashing Tom Arnold. So a guy like CM Punk is just money. Even at 40-41, that guy just is appealing, and it's good that he's talking wrestling. It was just a great show all the way around, and it's exciting. There's not too many shows where it's an hour-long recap where you're excited, and Backstage is it for me. I'm excited.
Yeah, man, Backstage was good. You're right. CM Punk and Renee Young, that could be a fantastic show. Punk is incredibly entertaining, and I think Renee Young, I know a lot of internet fans don't really like her, and they don't think she's very good at a lot of things, but I think she's fantastic. I think she does a great job. I enjoy her. I enjoy him. And you're right. I think this could be something where if you take Talking Smack and you kind of roll it over into this new Fox lineup, and you basically let Renee Young and CM Punk host it and bring wrestlers on, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be fantastic, because Talking Smack was fantastic. You got great promos between The Miz and Daniel Bryan at a time where Daniel Bryan was struggling on coming back. So, dude, like it honestly fantastic. I think it could really, really work.
Yes, sir. Great podcast. Looking forward to Survivor Series. Definitely, if you're a fan of wrestling, check out the Flick Chat application. We will definitely be chatting during the Survivor Series. Head on over to your favorite app store, whether it be Google Play or the Apple Store, and download the Flick Chat application. We'll definitely be going strong on Sunday and during all the shows this week. and give a follow and support the Wrestling Perspective podcast hosted by Eli Drake and Dennis Farrell. They put out great content each and every week. Follow Dennis on Twitter at Dennis77Farrell. We greatly appreciate the sponsors of this podcast. It makes it fun to broadcast each and every week, talking with my cousin Adam, breaking down the world of professional wrestling. It's getting good towards the end of the year, and I can't wait to talk to him next week. Thanks, cuz.
Take it easy, brother. Be good.